Hello everybody, welcome back to my studio. This is Emma on another fine spring morning here in Cumbria in the UK. Welcome back to my studio and a very warm welcome if it's your very first time here. Thank you for finding me. I don't know how you found me, but here I am. I'm sitting here talking to myself in this beautiful studio that I have. I'm so lucky to have. I've got lots of space in here and lots of fabrics, and I just aim to have some fun. I love being down here, and even more the fact that you come with me is just brilliant, and I share this space, if you like, with you as much as I can via the magic of the internet. And how fantastic is that? Because it joins us all together, doesn't it, the internet? No matter what else is going on, we can be together and connect in some fashion in this way, and I just think that's wonderful. So hello and welcome again. And what a surprise last week, I have to say. I hope it wasn't too shocking that I went from this beautiful simple background that I'd started off with, which is perfectly lovely and could easily be used in either direction and may well, you know, turn up in another piece later on, who knows, to go from that to this little fella down here, with all these luscious little colours. These are all my offcuts from all the pieces of fabric that I cut and the bits I didn't use, so they are just waiting for another project, I reckon. But the colour scheme, to me, it kind of went from green to just green plus. I was still feeling the greens. That's what attracted me to the picture that I started working from. But it added in other colours and other possibilities. So I just think it was such a surprise, and it was just that I was willing to go with that because something inside me went, oh my goodness, this is what you need to be working from. This is your inspiration. I was really trying to get going by doing this, just getting the fabrics out and starting. As I always say, just start, and who knows what can come up for you. But the willingness to change, I think, was the important thing. I could have persevered. I could have done a perfectly nice picture using this. I even got out, I have a little sketchbook. Just hold on, I'll just show you. I have a little sketchbook, teeny tiny one, and I was even kind of, this is my little green sketchbook here, and in this, some of you may have seen before, I stick, I hope you can see that, I stick little pictures from, I don't know, colour supplement magazines, or, you know, almost seed packets actually, but you know, where you've got, where they do pictures of people's gardens, and they do lots of lovely pictures of the photographs of the flowers in their gardens. So I'd sort of picked this out and thought, well, you know, that would be lovely on here. I think that's, you know, would go very nicely. But something inside me just went, no, it has to be these crazy colours, go for it. So thank you for, if you're still here, not put off by the craziness around here. So this is where we got to, and today I'm going to show you the embellishing, because that's what we're waiting for. That's what we waited for last week. Sorry I had to cut it off, but if I go into the embellishing, it becomes a massive film. So last week we basically got the fabrics cut out and ready, and now we're just going to see what the embellishing is going to do for it. I'm so excited, because once you start embellishing, especially these lovely soft fabrics, you don't quite know what they're going to do and how they're going to overlay and how they're going to mingle. So let's just go and get on with some embellishing. Okay, so I've just spent a really nice little half an hour or so just cutting up lots and lots of different colours here. And in fact, no, what are they? 7 colours or something. And they're just really raggedy shapes, no particular shape at all. So there's no control here at all. But what I've done is I've just set them up next to my embellishing machine, which is here. Here's my lovely embellisher waiting. I'm going to sit down next with my piece of cotton curtain interlining, which is here, and I will try and show you some embellishings. So there's no pre-planning to this at all. I'm just going to take a piece of fabric at a time and just start playing. I mean, how much fun can you have just with a pile of fabrics, and just whack them on under your embellisher and see what happens. What is nice is these fabrics are very easy to embellish, because they're sort of organza type chiffony fabrics, so they're really easy to embellish down. and obviously the curtain interlining is very soft as well, so it's very gentle process, this, I think. So should we put that piece there? So it's my favourite thing about the embellisher, one of the many favourite things perhaps, is how it just lets the fabric blend, and it meshes them up so that you're changing the surface of them. It's getting a little bit more crinkled, which adds a bit of texture, but it also lets you blend the fabrics together, so that that's 3 pieces there, but it's knocked back the pattern, so the pattern that was there in the fabric has sort of disappeared a bit because it's been scrunched up and it's been mixed and blended. So what colour shall we put next? A little bit of this. This piece I think wants to come on next. There. So when I'm embellishing, you kind of need to work either sort of top down or middle out, because obviously the fabrics move and the underneath fabric gets moved. So it's kind of just you know, don't dot about the place. You need to kind of keep it smoothly moving outwards, because then you keep not control of it, but you're just letting the fabrics move the way they want to. So I think what I'll do is I'll just keep adding the fabrics on, and I'll show you it when I've got to a stage further down the line and see where we get to. So I'm just about to put this piece of turquoise on here, and I'm going, ooh, that makes it a very sharp edge there if I do it like that. And I'm thinking, well, what if I just lift up the yellow a little bit here, and then you can pop that, you see, underneath there, and then the yellow can just pop back on top. And don't worry if there's a little gap, we can fiddle around with it till we get to there isn't a gap. You can always put another piece on top. So I've got a little wee hole there, so I'm just going to pop a piece of the fabric that's very similar to it. I would say the only thing with using these very fine fabrics, I don't know if you can see there, is they do shred very quickly and easily, and if you over embellish them they will just become see-through, and you can make use of that obviously, but the trick is not to over embellish if you don't want that. Okay, so it's beginning, I don't know if you can see, look, we're beginning to get something going on here. And it's not as bitty as my little sample. I'm liking it. There's big swathes of colour coming in. It's very sort of abstract, no idea where it's going, but it is so much fun to do because I don't know where it's going. So I've got a little gap here again, and I was thinking, well, shall I put a piece of something green in there? Maybe. And I'm just thinking, not sure about that. Do you want a piece of this sort of piece? No, not sure about that. I think what I really want actually is a piece of this. Let's go for this. What about a piece of that just whacked in like that, just random like. Ooh, get me needles up properly. Yeah, that's okay. So this is the fabrics I've got left, and as you can see I've put them all in a little box now because I've more or less finished laying out the pieces, but I love how they've all just gone mixed themselves up there. Right, so, and here we go with the piece. This is the back. I'd like to see the back. The back's quite fun. You can see all the colours coming through. There we go. It's rather fun on the back, isn't it? And you can see all the different colours just coming through the top fabric. So this is what it looks like. Oh my goodness, it's like some mad painting from the 1960s or something. It's just gone completely bonkers. I've got a couple of pieces sort of pinned on that I've added on. I'm going to add on, pop them underneath there like that. But I don't want to over fiddle with it, I really don't. So I'm going to step back from it now. I've done this embellishing pretty freely. I've just let it show me what it wants, and I've got different things going on. I feel as though it's got quite an energy to it, which I like. Obviously, the original bit was much smaller scale, but you can see it's kind of scaled up and it's got the energy to it. So I'm excited to do some stitching into it, but I'm going to leave it alone now for a little while and come back to it probably. I'll probably come back to it tomorrow actually, and just see how I feel about it and see what I want to do and see where it might be going. Having done this first embellishing, actually, and getting it, thinking it was ready to do some stitching on, I've just decided that there's some really big, strong areas here that are quite big. There's a lot going on down here, and I can't decide whether it feels more balanced. You'll have to let me know what you think, actually, about this. Whether you think it's more balanced having those bigger areas and then this busyness down here, or whether, in fact, would it benefit from me putting some other things in up here as well to sort of break up the green a little bit. Maybe this is what the joy of this is. I'm just playing around with other fabrics and seeing what I can bring into the mix. And I really love this fabric. It's got a very strong pattern to it. If you look at it, I think it's meant to be flowers, and I love the way it's been sort of painted on. It looks like it's been painted, so it's ready for me to use for this project, really, because it's bringing in lots of other colours into the mix without me having to sort of lift a finger. It's giving me these interesting shapes straight away. So I'm also not sure whether I really like that up there, so I thought, well, I'll sort of cover it up a bit, and maybe cover it up a bit, or maybe put that up there. Because obviously once you get the embellisher onto this, it mixes the colours up, it mixes them, it matches them, it fiddles about with them, blends them. I'm not sure whether I'd quite like a little bit of white up there as well, maybe. It's just playing, and it's the most relaxing thing to do. And you could fiddle around, and there's no right answer and there's no wrong answer. This is just, as I always say, it's what pleases your eye, what makes you go, ooh, ooh, yes. Sometimes it's to do with counting things. I don't like things in even numbers as a rule. As a rule, I don't have rules, but as a general thing, I try and do things in 3s or 5s. I think there's like a design thing, isn't there? A notion when you're doing gardening that you do things in 3s or 5s and you arrange things that way. So we'll just see. But you see, that's already kind of breaking that up and perhaps bringing some of these other colours in that are over here. So you kind of bring in a bit of harmony to it. It's about how often you repeat something, I think. How many of these you have. Now there's actually 4 of those, but I felt that wasn't so bad. It's almost as though that is part of that one in a way. I mean, you could do something like that, and then that becomes, that is all one, and that's just a bit joining it up. There are so many ways you could do this. It's really fascinating. And I just wonder whether I want a little bit of something dark brought into the mix up here. Having put a piece of light in, do I put a bit of dark in as well? Now obviously you can layer these things up. You could be adding more black. I think this piece has got 2 pieces of black on it. But you could also, you know, you can cover bits up. If you don't like the thing how you've got it, you can add another colour on top, and then sometimes that colour will come through, which will be very nice. You can, you know, get this sort of layering effect going on. Perhaps put a bit of something like that up in there as well, in that corner, or perhaps that might be better over there. Honestly, you could have so much fun just playing with this. It's just brilliant. It's the most relaxing thing to do, because there's, as I say, there's no right way to do it, there's no wrong way to do it. But you see, I think that's then making that perhaps a bit too much of that. That's making this fabric more dominant, so I might knock that back a little bit and juggle things around a bit. So as you can see, I will be playing with this for a little while to come. it hasn't quite gone ding with me yet, at which point I will embellish the rest of the pieces down, and then I will be ready for some stitching. So I'll show you it when I've finally made up my mind completely, or decided that that's it, and that's really, you know, making my heart sing. I prefer to say making my heart sing, really, because my head, it's not really about what my head is saying to me, it's about what my heart says. So This is me. I've finally finished faffing with it. I've added extra little bits on. I didn't want these black pieces to look like they were just plonked on top, so I've added extra pieces on to try and sort of blend them in a little bit more, and now it really is time to do some stitching, don't you think? So I've picked myself out my lovely little colander that a friend gave me, and I thought this is what I'm going to use to put my threads in today. It's always nice to have a little special thing to put them in. So I'm just looking at all of these lovely colours, and I'm just going to put them in here. I've picked out the ones which I think are roughly the ones I want to use, and we will just see where that takes us on this fun journey of stitching these things down. Not sure about that one. So let me just see if there's any other greens. I've got all my greens here. I'm just looking to see. There might be a use for a bit of that as well. Who knows? We're just going to see what happens. Isn't that lovely? It's like a bowl of sweeties, and I just think, ooh, yes, that would be fun to stitch with.